Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Section 214 of BC Lions podcast. And this is our final preseason episode, the fourth one of this
Offseason.
long, it feels like a long off season. But yeah, we're back. We're going to get into gear. We're going to be here like every week until the Grey Cup. And I'm excited for this year,
I'm
man.
super pumped.
I am super. We are super pumped to
Is it
be.
June yet? Almost.
Yeah, it's
June
two
on
days from now.
Sunday.
Yeah,
There we go. It will
I've
finally be
I've had that
yes, it
as
is
my
June yet.
I've had that as my Discord status for a while, right? So I can't wait to say it is June now, but it is June now. So
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, so we've got quite a bit to talk about today. Of course, there's the usual. We'll talk about the NHL playoffs briefly. We'll talk about some Lions stuff and also some rule changes. And of course, at the end, I I did make mention of this in our past off-season episodes, but we do have our season predictions ready, and
Oh yeah, we do.
yeah.
We
Uh,
do.
from what I can tell, I think all three of us. I mean, we kind of had like slight differences in where most of the teams are, but I think some of the teams, it's just all of us are in agreement that this is probably going to be the worst team, and this is probably going to be the best team.
No. Spoiler alert, I think we all had BC in different positions. But
Yeah.
yeah, we actually wrote down our predictions this time, so we'll revisit them in a later episode. We won't forget them like last year, so as you know, we're improving as we go.
Please
So
remind us if we forget.
Right.
Namely, remind
Yeah,
me because I will forget.
yeah. I'll remember. I have a pretty good memory for this kind of stuff.
yeah.
So,
I do not.
uh, yeah. So we'll get to that at the end and all that. But I think we'll start out with something that well, Hammer has been. I mean, he mentioned it in the last offseason episode briefly, but I think he can go into more detail about it here because it will affect how our
Hmm.
podcast is going to be structured over the next probably 3 or 4 weeks, right? At least
I know, yeah. So
June. So talk about
the
it.
big news is that I'm going to Europe. I'll be away for the next 3 weeks. You can see behind me the West Ham jerseys are gone because they're in my suitcase, and I'm wearing a Phillies jersey right now because I had to wear whatever was in my closet. I'm all packed up. Tomorrow I'm heading out to Europe. I'm very thankful for Douglas College for the field school
Hmm.
opportunity. So we're going
Yeah,
a week in Norway,
that's that.
a week in Denmark. Yeah, I can see the hat right there. Amazing hat.
Yeah.
Douglas
I
College
know
Royals.
that's why I'm wearing this because I'm excited that you're doing a field school, right?
Oh yeah.
It's
Halfway
Um,
across the world from here.
Crazy, right? I'll be repping the BC Lions in Europe. And after Denmark, I'll be taking 5 days in London, so that's why I got all my West Ham jerseys in there. I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot to see and do, so I could talk about that when I come back, and maybe I'll post a bit about it on Twitter. We'll see. But yeah, so I'll probably miss the next 2 or 3 episodes, and sadly, I'll miss two regular season games that I have tickets to because obviously I have a season ticket, the concert
yeah.
kickoff, and then I'm pretty sure a game against Winnipeg. Um, both of the games will be in Denmark, and the games will be at like 4 in the morning, so I really don't think I have a chance of
God.
watching them. Um, and I've obviously missed the episodes, but I trust you guys a lot. I know the format will change a bit. But
Well, we
I'll
got
be
this.
watching. I'll be a fan instead of a participator in the podcast. It'll be really interesting to see. But I don't trust anyone more than you guys on this. So
Well, perhaps it's a good thing that the games will be at 4 in the morning because outside of North America you'd be stuck watching the games on CFL Plus, and I have a thing or
Yeah.
two to say about that later. So maybe you're lucking out
Yeah,
a little bit.
that's
I
true.
know. And it's funny. Well, I mean, you're going to Europe now, and it does remind me of what a supposed well there was supposed to be another like a fourth podcast member here called named Simba, and he was also in England, like
He's in
enjoying
Portsmouth.
yeah, watching Lions games at like 4 in the morning himself
Yeah, we
too.
had him on for a group watch party one time, and yeah, he was tuning in at like 4 or 5 in the morning from
In
his
his
dorm
dorm
room.
room.
That he stayed up
And
Oh
all
man,
night to watch the game, and I think the Lions actually won that game, if memory serves.
that was
yeah,
dedication. Yeah.
it is.
I don't think I won't be able to because I'll be dorming with other people. But if I could, I would do that because he's been telling me so many times about how special like middle of the night Canucks and Lions games were. So it'll be an experience to watch sports overseas because I'm gonna miss every game of the Stanley Cup Finals. And that's something I never do. I love the Stanley Cup Finals, no matter who plays in it. So
Well,
Oh
it'll be
yeah,
maybe
crazy.
I guess we I guess well, we can move to talking about the playoffs a
Yeah.
little bit. Like from when we last did our off-season episodes, it was uh 8 teams and now it's down to two. But it could have been
Yeah.
still been sweet if Dallas hadn't sucked.
the
uh
same two as last year. I think, personally, as a fan of parody, I absolutely hate it, but you also have to respect what these two teams have
well
done
but
and like let the record show that most of the people I talked to around the sports world, I was one of the only ones who said that the Oilers were going to win the Western Conference Final. So I'm just going to plug myself there. But in all seriousness, I don't really like either of the teams all that much. Like the thought of seeing
but we don't like Edmonton like
the
a
thought of
whole lot
seeing
less.
the thought of seeing the Oilers break Canada's Stanley Cup drought makes you want to puke because you want it to be the Canucks. But also the thought of seeing Brad Marchand lift another cup makes you want to puke too. So I guess maybe I'm cheering for a meteor to hit both stadiums. For legal purposes, that was a joke.
We all
Yeah.
understand you.
Yep.
We get the point.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
so
funny
I'm
because I used to be, I was bandwagoning, Tampa and Florida myself because I had a person like a really good friend of mine from Florida that we would watch Sens versus the Florida teams games since they were division rivals and everything, right? So we watched those games often, and I would often root for them in the playoffs because the Sens were terrible, right? So I was like, okay, I'll be fine with them. And then then it turned into, oh wait, they've been in the Stanley Cup final for 6 years. The Florida teams have been in Stanley Cup 6 years. And like my friend is not even like he's a very, very casual hockey watcher, right? And he's rewarded with teams that go to six straight cup finals, and I'm waiting for mine. Right? I'm watching every game and I'm going like, why can't mine be that successful? Just but yeah, it's yeah, I think if you're a neutral fan, I think this should be a really fun Stanley Cup final and
The really great storylines with, Connor
mm,
McDavid, another chance to win the Stanley Cup, another chance to win the cup for him, and the Panthers with the chance to repeat.
sorry about the edit there. Hammer kind of had like a bit of an oopsie with his computer. It
my
crashed,
bad.
and I hope that noise that he sounded that chipmunk sound captured in the recording. That was a little funny right there.
I'll have to
But
The
watch that over.
the
Blooper
wonders
reel
of
stuff.
technology. Hopefully one day we can all get each other in the same room and this won't happen.
yeah,
Oh
It'll
yeah.
well,
plug this,
if we crash out in real life, that'll be very concerning.
then probably involve a 911 call. So let's hope
Oh
that
yeah,
doesn't happen.
Pretty bad Lions loss.
that
Anyways,
line loss we just
The NHL
we were talking
playoffs
about the Cup final, right?
and I
yeah,
think we're pretty good there, but I really wanted to make sure that we mentioned the Leafs. They did it once again,
yes,
completely crapping the bed, losing 6-1
bench.
in Game 7 to the Florida Panthers, and
Yeah.
it
That's
was
why I'm rooting for
it was
Florida.
like quite funny, but at the same time, I was working that day at because I have a new job at a nice movie theater here in downtown Victoria, and
Yeah,
there was a guy, and there were a couple of coworkers who are Leafs fans, and they're so nice. So I actually felt bad because they're like nice Leafs fans. A lot of Leafs fans I just kind of rub me the wrong way, but these people they're so nice that I felt bad, and I was like, I'm sorry. I have to
I,
be a little bit of heart for them, even though for the
Yeah.
franchise it's hilarious.
No, well,
Yeah,
well, for me, I don't have any, personal experience of like any Leafs fans. So for me, I'm like, oh, this is hilarious on its face for me because it's so good.
I
And
mean, it kind of is just because, and they did it in the most Leafs way possible. They went to Florida for Game 6 after being
shut
embarrassed
them
at home
out.
on Game 5 and played a really strong road game to give everybody that false hope.
yeah.
And then they were
They
Well,
down.
were up.
when newer fans to false hope, the older fans are like, yeah, they're gonna blow it in Game 7, and then look, and then they did. Right?
And they
It's
did,
just like
yep.
clockwork, right?
Let's not forget that they were up 2-0 in the series, and they were up like by 2 goals in
Three,
game
yeah,
three. So
yeah,
they,
3-1 in Game 3, and then yeah,
yeah,
like they had them like right there, and then they fumbled it. Right?
If they close that deal, then in Game 3, then realistically, it's an all Canadian final right now.
I think
yeah,
so.
because
Yeah,
Florida completely steamrolled the Hurricanes in the series
The
afterwards.
Leafs would have done it
Um,
too.
I think so. Yeah,
probably. I was like I was before that Game 7, man. I was admittedly fearful, right? Because like because I was so used to the Leafs, collapsing badly in the playoffs. I'm going, okay, this just might be the time that they actually go on a run, and I'm going to be terrified that the Leafs fans are just going to be lording it over Ottawa, that they beat them, and then they
yeah.
won the cup after that, right? But no, didn't happen. Instead, they go 0-5 after beating the Sens in the playoffs, right? Like every time they beat the Sens in the playoffs, they lose in a series like immediately after. It's great.
Well, they got to blow that team up. We can't run it back again. I actually saw an article
Yeah.
on TSN suggesting that they should run it back, and I laughed out loud because I'm like,
No,
what is this, the seventh or eighth or ninth year? I can't even remember how many years with the
Yeah.
eighth
same
year,
core.
eighth
Eighth
year,
year, back to 2017 when I was just a wee grade 12 student.
and I was in my fourth year of college.
I don't want to talk about where I was that year because I was
Were you
probably in
were you even
elementary
alive
school.
then?
Oh, you were a
I was,
baby, yeah.
I want to say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different things.
Expecting
That's what the Leafs have
results.
done. This
For
core
eight
cannot
years.
win. But I just wanted to say I felt like this year would be different because for the first time, I thought they actually had a good offseason. They added Chris Tanev. They actually added some goaltending. And they're cursed. It's crazy. Um,
And they won
they're the
round one
Leafs.
fairly easily, ultimately. There wasn't that much trouble. Like I didn't, even though
Mm,
they blew game 5 at home 5-0 against Ottawa, I never
four
really
to
had any
nothing.
oh, 4-0. Okay. I never really had any serious doubt they were going to win that series.
Well,
And
yeah, well, there was a little bit of doubt. Well, certainly when Ottawa tied it in Game 6, they came back from two down, and like a brief moment that I thought, oh my God, they were gonna win Game 6, and then yeah, then the Leafs end up winning anyways. But
but like
I am,
in this whole
I am relieved that I'm just relieved that I can continue to laugh at Toronto, right?
I mean that joke
Even
will just the jokes write themselves. And
yeah, like sure they can they can laugh at Ottawa for never beating them in the playoffs, but then it would be like, and then what happened after that? Every year, right? Every time.
I feel bad for my two coworkers because they're nice people, but happy for me because I can still laugh at the Leafs.
It's good for the memes.
Yes.
I just
Exactly.
want I want to say one thing before we move on subjects because I my audio died before we stopped talking about the Stanley Cup final. Um, as you should know, I'm a pretty big Oilers hater, and that comes from our series loss to the Oilers last year.
Oh,
So
that
for
was
the
so
first
sad.
time
I'm
in
so
like
Yeah,
two
bitter about that.
years, I changed my profile picture on Twitter and
I
everything
noticed
to and
that.
I put my club penguin on top of a Panthers logo because I would not like I know there's so many things in this cup final. You could have Marchand win it, you could have McDavid. I think we all lose in this scenario, but I don't want the
Well,
Oilers to win the cup.
well, I mean, I guess yeah. The benefit for you is that well, you barely remember like the 2011 Stanley Cup final, and then me, it's like, oh,
Well,
like
this
Well, the
I,
trauma still lives in our family, don't worry.
it's still,
I
yeah.
feel it. I feel it every single day. I still think about it all the time. That was really the most emotional Stanley Cup final, honestly, in recent memory. The ones in the past, like I was watching some highlights today from like Pittsburgh and San Jose in 2016, and I'm like, that was a snoozer. And
Where
then
was that? That
the
was
2023 final I was thinking about, that was Vegas and Florida. I didn't even watch any of it. It was a total joke. Then last year's went 7 games, but it really wasn't that exciting because most of the games were blowouts, one way or the other.
Yeah. The Oilers just kept. Well, the Oilers just feel like they're indestructible at home. Right, they're 6-1 at home in the playoffs this year, right? And the one loss they had was like that last second loss to Vegas that I was like, I
That
was
was
schadenfreudig about for briefly, and then it didn't matter because the Oilers ended up winning the next two anyways, right? So,
yes,
uh,
Panthers,
the
like
Oilers have
Panthers,
scored
they
all
just
the
seem
game-winning goals in at games played in Rogers Place in the playoffs. The Oilers have scored all the game-winning goals.
crazy. Like,
I want to say that Florida seems very locked in right
No-
now.
Did nobody get the joke?
what I
Oh,
didn't
of
catch that.
course.
What?
In all the games in the playoffs played in Edmonton this year, the Oilers have scored the winning goal in every game.
Scored a
What
winning
what
goal.
could I say? We've won every game that we've won.
Leon Draisaitl own goal for Vegas to
Oh
win the
my
game.
Oh,
God, no.
that's
Oh,
what.
oh God, that's a good one.
Oh, well,
I was so
How did I
stunned
not
when
get
that
that?
happened. That was hilarious.
I
That
know that.
was
Well,
funny.
yeah,
I
but
feel bad for not getting that.
again,
What the hell?
yeah, I think. Yeah. Before we move on, I do also want to, address that there's a bit of a, you know, kind of like a civil war-ish thing going on with Canadian hockey fans. Like either you'll get a lot of Canadian hockey fans that support the Oilers, even the rivals, just for to want to bring the cup back home to Canada. But then you'll get, all all three of us are like, I don't really care. We don't really care about that, right? I don't want to see Edmonton win, right? I just don't. I don't want to see
Uh,
Toronto win. I don't want to see Montreal win. Like, can you imagine?
If it was Toronto, then I'll just leave the country and
Yeah, if it was,
move to like Nepal or something, so we don't have to hear about it ever.
yeah, like
yeah,
like the Canadian hockey media would just be absolutely glazing
No, not just the hockey
Edmonton.
media, like the
Yeah,
national politics media in Toronto will be talking
yeah,
about
the
it.
CBC, like I listen to CBC Front Burner, and anytime they have a hockey thing come out, it's usually when the playoffs are on, right? And like they have a podcast too, but I listen to them, and I
I've
guess
said it a lot of times that Florida's Canada's team. And I don't speak for other fans, but if I want to speak for Canucks fans, I don't think the Canucks fans at all should be rooting for the Oilers because if you're a Canucks fan, you don't want the Oilers to win because of how they beat us last year, but also we don't want another Canadian team to win before us. That would just feel horrible, right? Like a lot of people want the drought to end. I don't think so. I would go 100 years before a Canadian team wins it because I want us to win it first.
Would be
I want
nice.
I want either of these teams doing it though, but
I'd be happy
uh,
for you if the Senators won. I think I'd be pretty neutral if the Senators or the Jets won it because they're pretty small market teams. I still hate Winnipeg. I don't know, but the other four, it would just be horrible, right?
yeah, it would be horrible. I mean, and I was gonna say like if Montreal had won the cup, like my dad would just be like, "Yeah, it's been
Oh, you have
32
that.
years." Yeah. Like it almost happened in 2021, but thank you again. I am relying on a Florida team to defeat my rivals, right?
Yeah.
uh, well, yeah, in both divisions, right? Like Tampa beat Calgary, and then yeah, Florida beat Edmonton last year, and then yeah, Tampa beat Montreal. So, right, it's just they've kind of
Florida.
saved us from witnessing an Alberta or Montreal win the cup, but uh, at least me. Uh, um, yeah. Anyways, I think that's about it for the NHL. So we'll
Got a
get
few
on
CFL
to
CFL?
things to talk about. That's what our podcast is about, after all.
yep.
I just wish that the season was a few weeks shorter so we didn't have the Stanley Cup final competing with the CFL because, like, as I'm sure everybody knows, the game played in Edmonton today, the preseason game, was definitely the most important sporting event happening in Edmonton right around
Hmm.
now.
Yeah,
And
yeah. uh,
Sadly, never mind. Actually, I was going to say the BC Lions are the most important team now, but I forgot the Whitecaps are in the CONCACAF Champions League final this Sunday, I
On
think. So good
Sunday.
luck to them.
That's amazing. It's the biggest game since
Yeah.
1979
Oh my
when
God.
the village of Vancouver won the soccer bowl.
Wow,
Yeah, I
many
think
years
yeah, my
ago.
dad talked about following the Whitecaps a little bit when they played and they beat a Tampa Bay soccer team too, right? And I think that was a little earlier than that, but forgot what the name of it was. But yeah, it was a big deal even back then too, right? Uh yeah, so I guess we'll get into, briefly into a CFL subject here that I found interesting to bring up. A couple of things. One is that there are rule changes for this year, and two of the things that I noticed like right off the bat that I think will definitely be affecting quite a few games. I mean, especially probably a playoff game or two, right? There's now grade two roughing the passer, where
I
you can
like this
have
rule a lot.
a 25-yard penalty called against you if a blow is delivered with the crown of the helmet to like the head, despite having clear view to contact. So basically, like, you can't just like straight up like clothesline a quarterback or a player, or well, a
Yeah.
quarterback, right? It's
Basically, yeah, if you just go straight to him and there's nothing else going on, then it's 25 yards. And I really like this because the number of concussions to quarterbacks we've been seeing in recent years is, unacceptable. And,
that close. I've been a victim of them a lot,
hopefully,
right?
hopefully this will do the trick because, a 25-yard penalty is, you know, almost a quarter of the field. So if you're at midfield, the 25-yard penalty puts you into easy field goal range, right? So I think that's something that's really, really important, and I
Yeah, and it's
definitely
and
really
it's not
like
and
that.
it's not just late headshots even. It's also if you deliver like a hit to below the knee, right? You can't do like very low tackles with
That's a penalty always, but it says the rule I'm reading it here says if the player, despite having a clear view of the contact and there are no mitigating circumstances, aka contact with another player, causes it. So basically, if you clear line of sight and you boom, take them out from below the knees, that's going to be 25 yards.
yeah, it's like targeting
I
the
think
knees or the head, right? Or just
that's
uh
good because knee is like the most vulnerable place you can get injured. And it's almost like the kneeing penalty in hockey because that's like 5 minutes.
Well, because yeah,
So that's
knee on knee, I don't think it's ever happened to me, but like it's nasty when that happens and it can lead to a
oh
lot of
yeah,
serious
a
injuries.
season ender.
oh yeah,
Yep.
and it's not just passers that this will be applied to, but also low hits on vulnerable receivers as well. So you just basically you can't tackle below the knee in any circumstance. Right? Even I guess even probably like if you're someone who's intercepting a ball and then you get like hit below the knee, that's probably a penalty too. Because
It's going to be. They've actually changed it here for vulnerable receivers who are not in a position to defend themselves. Basically, if you're in the act of catching a pass and you get hit at or below the knees, and that's going to be 15 yards against the defense too. So I like that as well, safety
Yeah, that's good.
penalties. And I think the one other thing we should mention about the rule changes is for the like major fouls, they've removed the half the distance to the goal rule.
yeah, it's I think it's the third to last bullet point that if they remove the restriction when applying, you have a maximum distance on all major penalties, misconduct, and what played is okay. Oh no, oh no. Yeah, here we go. The total distance of the penalty yardage will be applied to a maximum of the 1 yard line.
So like they're not going to give you a
So
touchdown, but like I like that because again, these are like especially egregious fouls and penalizing them the full amount regardless of where they are is good because what if you're on the I don't know, you're on the 10-yard line and a 25-yard penalty gets cut down to a 5-yard penalty because of half the distance? Yeah, I don't like that. So I think it's creative, it's unusual, but I really like it.
unusual, but yeah, we'll see how it's gonna, you know, because CFL refereeing is a very contentious job, and
I
man,
generally think they do they generally I think they generally do a good job, but sometimes the rules are not well written. I think
they're,
they're
they're
much
they're very
better.
subjective, right? At
Yeah,
least,
they're much better than the NHL referees, that's for sure. And
yeah, because
that's a pretty low bar, but they're
yeah,
much, much, much better.
yeah, because I think with at least with football, I mean, there's like time between plays, or you can review things even too.
And
Like
we don't
I
see the
think,
game management that the NHL referees do.
yeah, I
Yes.
mean,
The key word is consistent here, consistency, and NHL does not have that. I think the CFL football in
Well,
general is a lot better.
the NHL just willfully ignores penalties. There's no other way to explain it. Either these are the most
yeah,
incompetent officials ever, or they just ignore stuff.
they just straight up ignore stuff like it's just like toss the rule book out and go wild, go free,
Chuck it and burn
players.
it.
Goalie interference is not a thing. Well,
Well,
that
actually,
They just take
there
the point and
hasn't
flip it.
actually to circle back in the NHL a little bit. I mean, I haven't noticed as many goalie interference controversy this time around. It's just dirty shots that are
yeah,
not being called. Like Florida has been getting
Sam Bennett.
been getting away with so much headshots to goalies and stuff, right?
You can bet that they'll take out Stuart Skinner than the first game or two.
uh,
Uh, I think he will.
Anyway,
He's done that in every round. Yeah, okay, move on.
I could go on
anyway,
about
oh
that for
yeah,
hours.
yeah, but and then there's one more thing that I saw here. That there was like an offside pass change where the following plays will no longer be considered offside passes. If a defending player prevents the ball from going out of bounds, knocks it down or bats it back into the playing area in an offside direction,
So
and
Okay,
that's a forward pass.
that's the forward pass, yeah. And batting a loose ball in any direction following a fumble, a blocked kick, a wild snap, a lateral pass, or a kickball. I mean, I think we've seen that a few times where,
That makes sense.
yeah,
I think because like saying you're batting the ball because the fumble is a illegal forward pass. That's kind of insane. So I'm glad that they made that more explicit. And yeah, overall good rule changes for the year.
yeah, mostly, yeah. I think,
I agree with these.
yeah, I agree with all of these, but I think, but the grade two, I think the passer one is the one I'm going to be. I mean, I hope we never get to see it happen, but if it does happen, then it's going to severely punish a team, like especially if it's late in the game and they're tied or they're close, and then that happens, and then the team that was the victim of that cheap shot, or they end up winning. Like we can see, I can totally see that happening, and it'll be oh man, the social media IO will be like, well,
It would
especially
be controversial.
yeah, especially if the riders like choke a game away by inflicting like a grade two up in the path of penalty on themselves, right? Like that'll make them so mad
Well, you got to learn the rules and
at the
not be
team.
stupid. That's what I say.
Yep.
If you know what the rules are, you do silly penalties. You deserve it. Anyway,
Tell that to the Elks punt returner from last year.
yep.
Okay.
Anyway, should we move on to the
Yeah,
logo discussion?
yeah. There's another couple things that I have on the list here. First of all, this was a bit of a stealth change in terms of the aesthetics of the BC Lions, right? But I, you know, it's it's been the logo has changed. Uh, I'd say, well, I mean, it's changed certainly for the geeks, the football geeks for us, right? Like we noticed, it's it's a significant change. I mean, for the casual fan, they're never gonna, you know, think about it too much, but
Yeah.
I mentioned before we started recording that there's actually a website dedicated to cataloging uniform and logo changes called uniwatch.com. So it's kind of like a little bit of a plug for them too. Like I enjoy, going to their site and like reading articles about aesthetic changes to jerseys and stuff like that, right? But yeah. Uh, it's what's weird is that the Lions didn't really announce this change, right? Like
They
usually a
just
team
kind of did it,
announces,
or not really kind
yeah,
of. They just did it.
yeah, they just did it. Like usually teams announce primary logo changes, on social media or just through the newswire. But no, this was just like stealth, right? And but yeah, we noticed it, and I gotta say, all three of us are in agreement. We're not you know, I know this is like a very petty thing, right, in the grand scheme of things, but I we're not big fans of this change, right?
Yeah, so basically the BC letters on the logo went from
Yeah,
curved to more straight, or I don't know how to
straight out.
say it.
Yeah, I'll put
And
up
then
the logo, like, up here, like, or
yeah,
wherever, like, an empty space is, just to show you what we mean. But yeah,
I want
like
to
the new
point something out
logo.
because they have a helmet logo and it's this. I have a chain for
Yes.
some reason. Um, so they have this on their helmets, but it's not this. Like it's I think it's the same font. It almost looks like it, but it's
No,
not the same logo. So I don't know why. Like I'm not too sure what the rationale for the logo change was. That's pretty much what I'm saying here. Um, I'm not too big of a fan of it.
I remember. Well, last year there was also there was a lion head that it was like a forward-facing, scary-looking lion face, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I
Uh,
actually do.
yeah, I thought that was going to be a logo change, but I think they kind of relegated that to just, other kind of logo appeal. But yeah, this is going to be on, this is on the website. This is going to be on the ticker for TSN, and this updated logo is going to be just on everything, right? And I'm like, but I I grew up with that logo like my entire life, right? Like since not like it's been that since '94 until last year, right? And now it's uh yeah, it just
I would
feels
make
weird.
I would make the First Nations logo permanent before this new logo because I like the First Nations logo a lot.
Yeah, but then you realize they're probably gonna, do the updated logo with the First Nations treatment too, right?
Mhm.
uh we'll see what that looks like. I mean,
Yeah,
it could, it could salvage it, right? I mean, it should, but it's really they got a sick design, right? So uh yeah,
yeah, came
so
out of left field.
yeah that you know that's probably, I don't know. I mean, I think the last time we did like a little bit of a logo rant, I think it was when I noticed that the helmet had the BC letters on the side, right? And I was like, I wasn't used to that either.
Yeah.
uh I was just used to the lion head being on the helmet for the most part, but yeah, this is yeah, well, I know, nobody in the Lions front office is probably gonna, care if we rant about this, but we're just saying it for I
We feel
guess
it.
posterity's sake, right?
You got
uh
anything to add, Jacob, for the logo?
I mean, I don't really like it. I'm kind of a traditionalist and a purist, but it's, I'm not going to get all angry about it. I have more unhinged rants to go on later in the show, so
Hmm.
I
yeah,
think I'm
there's
gonna mostly just leave it at that for now.
yeah, we'll leave it at that. I mean, I think I yeah, I know we'll probably end up getting used to it, but it's like, I've been used to that since like my whole life, right? So ever since I started watching in like roughly 2001, I want to say. Uh, so yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of an adjustment, but I, I'm not a huge fan of it. So anyways, yeah, we're not huge fans of it, but
Yep.
yeah. So I guess now that that's out of the way, there's another thing that I'd like to talk about that came out yesterday actually, and that was something that it's like, oh, I didn't really think about this until now, but there's a Three Down Nation article by JC Abbott, and in this article he talks about the Lions are weighing different markets in a temporary stadium for the 2026 World Cup eviction. Well, it's kind of an extreme word to use. It's not. It's more like a temporary rehousing than an eviction from BC
Yeah.
players. But he does bring up that um, the president and think it was the president that was quoted it from this. Dwayne Viano, he said that we're taking a hard look right now at how we do go to a different market and do a couple of games in that market against opponents that would have a good draw and do sort of like a TDP game, like Touchdown Pacific. So I do think that I mean he does mention like a bunch of different areas around BC that could host games. I do think because of the success of the Touchdown Pacific, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to Victoria for 2026, right?
I
For a
don't
couple of
like. I
games.
think that would be a good choice for them, but at the same time, the challenges of getting the team from the practice facility in Surrey over to Victoria every week when you have to go on the ferry, that's going to add up to a lot of costs over time, and the fan base too may not want to travel all the time. And like the only permanent stadium they have in Victoria is the Starlight Stadium where they played the preseason game. That's only 5,000 seats, maybe less. I'm not even sure. The
Yeah, we'll
stadium
talk about that in a bit too.
where they did Touchdown Pacific last year is not a permanent stadium. So that's going to be the big challenge right
I
there.
was in Victoria a couple months ago and it's gone. It's the park now, so you'd have to completely rebuild that. Um, but I mean,
Yeah,
in this
and
article, like they created so much economic activity from Touchdown Pacific that like I'm sure they'd be just fine with rebuilding it. It would have to be another one-time massive event thing. And if
how
they're
long
going to
is the
have so
World
many
Cup?
home games,
Yeah, how long is the World Cup actually? I think
probably about
it's
four or
only like
five weeks.
yeah. Oh yeah, I see it. It's between June 13th and July 7th, right? And the World Cup is like all around Canada and the US too, right? So I think Vancouver only gets like what, 2 or 3 games or
We're getting a few games. I think at least five or six. Like we're getting one of the knockout matches. So
I think we're
it's not
getting
like we're
two
at the
actually.
bottom of the
I
pack.
was reading this in preparation for our show. I believe we get two knockout matches, including I guess it's now the round of 16 because the knockout stage goes to a round of 32 now.
But yeah, because they increased the number of teams, which I don't
Yeah, we
agree
do on
with.
July 2nd
countries.
and
Yeah.
July 7th we have knockout matches in that BC place.
I just want to acknowledge
Yeah.
the fact that it's great that the Lions have a practice facility, unlike another team in Vancouver. So that makes things a bit easier for us.
Yeah.
If I don't know, if another games in the Lower Mainland or even in Victoria, it's good that we have somewhere
Oh,
with a base.
actually, you know what's funny? Uh, well, the article did mention that the last time the Lions were temporarily, booted out of BC Play, that was when uh we were renovating it in 2010, and uh, right, and they
Hmm.
played at Empire Field for a bit, and I was at a game at Empire Field. Like I remember, being there, and they lost that game, but right, that was like this. They didn't play so well at Empire Field, but then like once they moved back into BC Place, like they were firing on all cylinders and they won the Grey Cup, right? It was crazy. I,
What a year that was.
yeah. So yeah, I do, and the article does also mention that there could be, I mean, SFU, like they have like a unused football field for the Red Leafs, right? I think that's the name of the team, well, the former team, because they ceased. Unfortunately,
Bring him back.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I would love to have like the Lions be like playing like a 10-minute drive from where I am, right, up in the Burnaby Mountain. Like I am literally at the base of Burnaby Mountain, right? Like, cause uh,
Honestly,
it would be
I th
cool, right?
this eviction is a setback, but I think Amar Doman definitely sees this as an opportunity because he's done so well at this in Victoria and Langford. And they said in the article there could be other locations in the Lower Mainland. I think it's a good opportunity for him. Um, and I'd be excited to see. I feel like we'll get more details in the coming months or whatever, because that's next
Yeah.
year.
That's also the benefit of being known
Oh,
as
it's
the BC
next
Lions,
year.
because we're not like restricting ourselves to just Vancouver area locations
Mhm.
for temporary homes, right? Like you could have it anywhere in the province, right? Within reason, at least. Uh, and certainly there's been Kamloops, right? And uh, you know, like yeah, just practice facility too, and in Surrey, and I got a lot of options. So I guess we'll have to wait and see because that's going to be a long time down the road. But we'll keep you
Yeah,
posted on that. Uh,
we will. Moving
so
on with things here. So Lions played two preseason games. The
yeah,
first one was at
Awesome news.
Langford, as we mentioned. So they lost that one 26-16. And just an hour or so ago, they just finished up their final preseason game, week one against Edmonton. I'm pretty sure the score was 20 to
20
19
to
for Edmonton.
19.
Okay, so
week
they
no,
also
it's
lost that
preseason
one.
week 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Week
so they
one,
lost.
yeah, week
So
one will be against Edmonton too. But
This
yeah,
one was in Edmonton, and I watched some of the game. I guess maybe we can put this off the top. We both were watching, Ascent and I were trying to watch it on CFL Plus, which was streaming most of the preseason games because TSN doesn't
yes,
usually broadcast very many. And my goodness, CFL Plus has a lot of work that needs to be done on it. It was not very impressive. The website, you have to go into the CFL website and put in your email, and the website took probably 20 minutes to load. I think it was because there's three preseason games scheduled at the same time, all being streamed on this website, and evidently the website couldn't handle the traffic, which, that's something they'll need to think about. For a while, Ascent said there was no sound for his
yeah,
broadcast.
for some of that first quarter of the Edmonton game, yeah, it was bizarre, right? Like, and uh, yeah, so. From what I remember from watching, well, I watched the first half of the Edmonton game and then a little of the fourth quarter, but I'm kind of glad I did manage to catch like a little bit of the fourth quarter because for the longest time the game tracker said it was like in the middle of the third quarter constantly, right? And I thought, gee, I didn't think because there was an injury that happened to us, one of our right tackles,
oh
Foucault,
yeah.
and yeah, I think it might have been a broken leg, but he suffered. That's why it took a
Just
long
such
time
a
for him to come back.
devastating
But
injury.
Yeah,
yes,
we hope for the best for him. That's so
yeah, we
unfortunate
do.
this early.
Yeah, yeah. When you have like a broken leg and or broken anything in preseason, that's just very tragic because like the game means nothing. Well,
Yeah.
at least in terms of just actual result, right? I mean, uh, for these players, they're fighting for their jobs, and to have that opportunity cut for them like that early in a in their attempt to make the team, right? That's that's awful. But yeah, there's yeah. Uh, I think in the Langford preseason game against Calgary, there was also some issues too, but it was more to do with bad audio quality and kind of not very good commentary, at least.
Well, they were just sticking the radio broadcast and plopping it onto a TV screen, which doesn't really work that well. So, I would have rather them just, done what they've done in the past when there's no TSN broadcast and just have it only on the radio.
Right.
The the CFL Plus was kind of it hasn't worked well, and I'm sure we're not the only ones who say this. If they're not going to put in or they don't have the resources to make it, a good quality broadcast, just don't bother. And
Yeah, I'm
especially for the
hoping.
preseason, right?
Yeah, I'm hoping this is just the preseason issues and that it'll be a little better. Well, either a little better or if it's the same as what we get for you know watching it on the TV or
Well,
for
TSN always
actual
does a good job, so
yeah for
Yeah.
actual yeah. I'm hoping that it's just a preseason thing where it's like there's not as much effort being put into the production quality compared to the regular season. So I'm hoping that's the reason why. But again,
yeah. Well, well,
I mean, Hammer's going to be in Europe for a while. I mean, if he does,
Yeah.
end up staying up super late to watch a game, I mean, he can try that out
he can
himself.
watch on
But
CFL Plus because if you're outside Canada or the US, you're watching CFL Plus the whole year. So,
I might be up pretty early some of those days, so we'll see actually. That would be pretty interesting. What time are the games at? I'll end up looking at some point because I've not completely memorized the schedule, which I will eventually.
Yeah,
It would
I
be
do know
interesting
that actually I think
because
I do want to skip over the standings. I want to save that for the very end, but I think we will talk about the start of the season, week one versus Edmonton, and an announcement that was made about the concert kickoff show. Because for the past few years we've had I think LL, yeah, it was LL Cool J, and then it was
One Republic.
Sen.
One Republic, and then yeah, we've had some pretty fairly high profile acts over the past few years. Ever since the Doman took over for ownership, and then now this concert kickoff act is you know something else. I mean, I've only listened to I think like two of his songs semi regularly. I know one of them would be the next episode, or he was featured in a song like in that song, and I think the other one was might have been Gin and Juice, maybe. Uh, I'm not I'm not too big of a rap fan, but yeah, Snoop Dogg's going to be performing, uh,
Crazy.
which
That's an unreal pull for Lamar Doman, and
yeah,
we all have our opinions on him, but I mean that's insane. And you just think I think 3 years ago he was literally performing at the Super Bowl.
he was
That's
performing at the Super Bowl, and now he's coming over here, right? It's like
it's
wow,
crazy. Yeah, and he's sold over 50,000 tickets already. It's
yeah.
gonna be a great day for Lions football. I hope everyone has a party out in the plaza and they have a great um opportunity to promote the Lions like they do throughout the year. So
Yeah, it's funny because for all of the musical acts that we have before the home openers, right? It's like, BC has always played great for those games all the time, right? And probably because of like the increased fan atmosphere, it's like really intimidating, right? Although I'd say probably at least five or 10,000 of those are maybe. I mean, there has there has been instances in the pregame concert kickoff shows where there are clearly fans of the musical act more than the football team, right?
there's
But
a lot of empty seats in the second half last year, mainly in the upper bowl, not the lower bowl. The Lions fans mostly they stayed.
yeah, I'm hoping that not as many attendants will be exodusing from the stadium as soon as Snoop Dogg is done. But I I do have faith that they'll come for Snoop Dogg, stay for the football, right?
Great.
uh
Big chance.
yeah.
Do we just want to get
But
into season predictions?
Let's do it.
I'll also well no, before we get in that, I'll also say that you know Edmonton did beat us in the preseason game on a last second touchdown, right? But I do think that BC is going to obviously be playing their starters, and it'll be the full capacity team to the best of their ability, and then yeah, we're open for a much different result. uh, to state the obvious. Um, yeah, I was gonna put talking about the cuts and everything, but I think because there's gonna be a little more cuts between now and week one, I think we're gonna save. We'll probably me and JS will probably save some notable players that show up from preseason into this game, right? Because there's bound to be a few, like Aberhart last year, right?
Oh
uh,
yeah,
Yeah, he boasted onto the scene for us, and like he's been a fan favorite of ours since, right? Ever since. But yeah, I'm hoping that I guess we're getting into the season now. I'm hoping that if we do have like a really good start to the season, we have to keep it up. Like we cannot afford to be going on losing streaks like late in the season, or just slowly eroding our trust of the team to do something in the playoffs, right? Because that's what happened last year. Like, it just felt like death by a thousand cuts in the second half of the
really did.
year. I hope we don't go through that again, right? I'm looking for
First third of the year we were 5-1 and then 1-5. Like
It was miserable. I
yeah,
mean, the
tale of
touchdown
three
Pacific
seasons.
was, yeah, touchdown Pacific was great and everything, but it was just it was in the middle of some pretty bad. Well, I mean, we also beat Montreal on the road too, but it was in the middle of like some bad stretches, right? So yeah, I guess it's a good segue to go into our season
Season.
predictions. Yep.
I got them on
So
my phone here.
yeah, I have them. I have all three of ours pinned in our little group chat that we have, and
Let's run through those.
yeah, I'll start with mine. So we'll be comparing, the three of our predictions just to see like if any of it's changed. So I just want to start out with this. Does all three of us have all three of us does have Winnipeg as number one in the West?
Yep, no
Yes.
doubt about that.
Yeah, me and JS, we have BC at number two, and Hammer has BC at number three. So,
Yep.
oh, slight deviation, but two out of three is the same. So, yeah, a, we still got decent fair amount of confidence that they're going to be at least top three team in the West.
Yes.
I have Calgary at number three in the West, and Hamo, you had Calgary at number five, and JS, also had
Yes.
Calgary at number five. So I have a little more faith in. I have like a lot more faith in Vernon Adams, like playing great for Calgary than you guys do.
I know I love VA. I will always love him. And they also got Dominic Rhymes, so I always loved as a Lion. They got a very weak team other than receivers and
The
quarterback.
coaching as
So
well. I was
yes.
shocked that I think Dave Dickinson's still the coach now, right? I
Yep,
was
and
shocked that he
much to
was.
our chagrin and surprise, but we'll the Calgary's days of dominating are over. So we'll have to
Yeah,
see. They're
I'm
kind of
so.
in a rebuilding stage now. We'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah, it's funny because in the 2010s, like we were so annoyed that Calgary was great consistently, and then Winnipeg basically did the Megamind thing where it's like, yes, Winnipeg has freed us from the shackles of Calgary, and then Winnipeg's like, oh, I wouldn't say freed, more like under new management, right?
God.
My God, now now we want someone to knock off Winnipeg for once, right? Hope it's us.
That's the best way. We'd hope so.
Yeah, so I have more faith in Calgary over Vernon Adams than you guys do, but again, that's because I do think he does have an axe to grind with how he was treated
He can do it
by
on his
the
own.
Lions
He's
management.
capable.
Yeah,
Will
I
he? I don't
mean,
know.
it's a shame that the Calgary games are going to be so late in the season, but then again, it would be a little more fitting if Vernon Adams does ball out against stuff like late in the season, probably like prevent us a playoff spot or something, right? I am so terrified about that happening, right?
That would be too.
Uh, uh, anyways, I have Saskatchewan at number four, and Hammer, you have Saskatchewan at number two, and JS, you have Saskatchewan at number three. So it's like each of us have I have less faith in Saskatchewan than you guys this time. Uh,
You know what? I thought his Saskatchewan had a really good offseason. I think they have a good team, but I was debating putting them number one, but I don't think you can really doubt the Bombers. We've said so many years the Bombers are going to fall off the first, and
and they
I'm
never
not going to
do.
bother this time.
Like, yeah, like this time was like until they prove otherwise, we're always going to put them at number one, right?
Yeah.
So, you know,
Edmonton,
and Edmonton, yeah, I have Edmonton at last place in the West, and yeah, Hammer, you have them at number four, and JF, you have them at number four too. So, yeah, all three of us think Edmonton's going to miss again this year, and
yeah,
Yeah, they're,
um.
I don't know what to say about them.
they're a mess and probably will
They
continue
are.
to be.
I,
Yeah.
I mean, I like there's this whole thing about just wanting to go back to like there's just the fans that certainly the older demographic are just that want to go back to the E slow name, right? Uh
Oh yeah,
which
that's true.
yeah, I don't want to say out loud, right? Just but
Yeah, I get
yeah,
that.
there's been some talk from ownership about wanting to at least go back to uh there's been like mumblings of wanting to go back to that name, but I a lot more CFL fan than Edmonton fan, especially like be like keep the Alps, please, for God's sake, right?
We're able to keep the same logo and branding, or well, they changed the branding with the EE. So
Yeah,
I
the
think no real need to change it back, in my opinion.
oh, they've even come out with like a vintage, I think a look as well. So, um,
I think we can run through the East pretty quickly. Can I read them out?
Yeah.
yeah, you can read
So
them out. So yeah, you can start with
me,
yours.
me and Jacob have the same East predictions. First place Toronto, second place Montreal, third place Ottawa, fourth place Hamilton. Ascent, you have only two things different. That's a switch in the top two. You have Montreal first, Toronto second, Ottawa third, and Hamilton fourth. So the one certainty that we all agree on, Hamilton's going to suck. I think
Yeah.
kind of consensus around the league.
I think there's
Yeah,
really two tiers in the East. You've got Toronto, Montreal as the top tier, and Ottawa, Hamilton as the bottom tier. So you're gonna have those two teams battling it out for first, just like they did last season. And
yeah, and
whoever.
Toronto is defending Grey Cup champions too. I could have put them at number one, but I do think that Montreal. I think there's even losing Cody Fajardo to Edmonton. I still like when Davis Alexander came in when Fajardo got injured and he played great with them, right? Like just coming
Yeah,
in, right? Like I remember that comeback he did
against
last
the
year. I forgot
Riders.
against it was against the Riders, and yeah, it's just that Montreal just didn't miss a beat, and they could have easily repeated as Grey Cup champions, but Toronto was just like bound and determined to run the gamut, right, to beat Ottawa and then beat Toronto, and then absolutely like humiliate Winnipeg in the Grey
Hmm.
Cup, right? Like that was, I'd say out of the three wins that Toronto had, I'd say the most stunned I was against Winnipeg, right, in the Grey Cup
Oh
when we
yeah,
were there and we saw it in person, right?
Arbuckle. Man,
Arbuckle
I
was
want to say
full on Nick Foles that game, right? Uh,
very gutsy move by Montreal to move on from your quarterback 1 year after winning the Grey Cup. And also, Toronto lost a couple of key players again after winning a Grey Cup. It's so hard to predict. That was really going back and forth between Toronto and Montreal in first and second. And I think that's going to speak to how the season's going to go. I think they're going to go back and forth. They're going to fight for that first spot.
yep.
And they're going to play
It'll
each
be
other in the playoffs.
most likely, yeah. Uh, yeah. And I do want to say like one more thing about Hamilton being all of us in predicting them to finish last. You know, we say that because I think Bo Levi Mitchell is definitely, I think he's either going to retire after this year or, maybe goes like one more year after this. But, like the days of him dominating with Calgary are long gone now. And,
Yeah,
yeah, it's just, and I
a
mean, we
good run of
also got,
things.
yeah, among other things, then also, uh, I guess I do want to say for BC for me putting them in second, like I do although BC went like winless in the preseason, I mean from what I saw of work in like that first quarter, like he was 8 for 8 for 84 yards in that game, right? And I think like got gonna be looking forward to like maybe some high passing percentages, right? Or at least proficiency for week one, we hope, right? Um, but yeah, I, no matter what happens after week one, I think like BC lost in week one last year as well, so
And then we
we'll
won
try
five
not to get
straight, didn't we?
The key is not to overreact to the first game or even the first two games.
or the
Things can
first six games, right?
literally things
uh,
can change over the Lions. They started 5-1, which is all things
the
considered pretty
Bombers were
amazing.
winless, and then they just skyrocketed up to number one, right? And the Quake Up, and we were like, God dang it, right?
The
I
Lions
just
started
can't.
5-1 and finished 9-9, so that means the rest of the way they went 4-8.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah, so if BC does get out to a hot start again this year, we're still gonna be like, okay, they're 5-1, or if they're 6-1, we're like, okay, we're not we're not confident that they're gonna get home field advantage in the playoffs until it's like we see it on the
Literally.
side of a name, right? But
Yes.
um, yeah, so that's our
I think
CFL
we covered
standings.
that.
Like, yeah, we're gonna ice them. We're gonna ice our predictions here, and we'll see what happens. And then, like, once the end of the season rolls around, then we'll revisit our standings predictions, and then we'll see what we got right, what we got wrong. And I mean, I remember last year when I did predictions, like I was super close, right? I
War,
think
yeah.
there was two teams that flipped, and it was like, oh man, if I had I think it was in the West where, yeah, if I had like Saskatchewan and BC predicted in the right ways, I think I would have had it perfect, right? But
Yeah, that was a close one.
um, yeah, so we have our predictions iced in, so we'll revisit them at the end of the season. And I guess one more thing before we get to the end of this last off-season episode is that I do want to say that I I am going to be going to the September 12th game against Ottawa. And
Big
there might be,
news.
yeah, and there might be another game I'm going to be going to, but I'm going to wait and see what this season's going to be like before I decide to go to another game. So I do know that I'm going to be locked in for the September 12th game, and that's going to be the first game. Well, the first game I go to that's going to be after my birthday, like my 30th birthday, right?
Crazy.
That's a birthday present for me. And then, of
See you
course,
there. Be
yeah.
fun.
And then, of course, Hammer, your birthday is on August. So we have like very close birthdays together, right? Like
Yeah.
within a week, right?
So
So
the Lions play on my birthday at home against Montreal on August 16th. So that'll be fun. Birthday games are they're a thing. I was at Cubs versus Blue Jays last year at Wrigley on my birthday, which the Blue Jays lost. So I hope the Lions can get the win this year. And also, once I turn 19 on my birthday, Ascent, I might be able to join Lions on Tap with you. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah, I do think that'd be a great birthday present for you, for me, right? We'll
Yeah.
get to check them out, right? We like I did do that last year. I did visit them like quite a few times, right? And it was with Matt Baker. It was the communications director, and it was um Um, yeah, I think it was the radio guy was his name is the Moj.
Yes.
So yeah, uh, and yeah, I do follow them on social media too. So I'm like, yeah, I'm you know, once you do turn 19, then I do want to take you to one at least one on tap
Yeah.
session, right? So
I'd be so willing to do that. The
That's
future is
awesome.
bright. Section 214. Excited
yes,
for it.
Absolutely.
yeah, I can't wait to. Yeah, I'm gonna be putting like on in the playlist. So it's gonna be season 2 episodes, right? So it's gonna be great, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah. So that's pretty much
Yeah.
all I wanted to. That's pretty much all I have in rubric to talk about for today. So, all in all, like you know, um, I'm glad we got like a lot to talk about in between, the month from the last episode and now, right? It was
Yeah.
I didn't struggle to find topics, right? Like there were a lot of things that there were even a few things that cut out just for time's sake, right? Because it's like 11:09 p.m. with where we're uh
Oh, I gotta
so
get packing still.
You
we
got to
went a
get to
little
sleep before your long trip.
Yeah.
yeah, because of the computer crash and
Oh
you
God.
know, yeah, the ending of the preseason game going a little bit later than I thought it would be, but it's all working out in the end, right?
It's not as bad as the double
Yeah.
OT last time.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was like St. Louis was like 1.5 seconds away from moving on, and we would have recorded earlier than that, and then
At
Winnipeg said,
7:30.
nope, you're gonna be
Oh.
waiting for hours, right?
But yeah,
Uh
I'll see you guys when I see you in 3 or 4 weeks. I hope we're 3-0 by then.
oh
But we'll
God,
see.
like if oh man, if we're 3-0 when you're gone, they'll be like, hey, can you stay in Europe forever?
I know. Or we could be 0
Right?
3 to be begging me to come back. So
Oh,
we'll
that
see.
too. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see. But yeah, so yeah, here I think this episode serves a dual purpose, and just telling you guys what we're gonna look like for the next month, right? So don't be surprised if it's just me and JS for a month, right? It's just you always have this to reference to, right? So uh but yeah, I hope you have safe travels,
Absolutely.
Hammer.
Guys. Yeah. I'll keep in contact with you guys and I'll keep in contact with the scores. So
Definitely.
So yeah, that's gonna be it for us for today, and I guess I was going to uh, I was supposed to do like a blue. I'm terrible with just talking about setting up accounts and everything. I was supposed to have set up a Blue Sky account, but I forgot, right? uh,
that's all right.
but yeah, for today, we do have a Twitter account and Instagram at section 214 pod. The pod is in lowercase pod, and you can also reach us through the comment section or by Gmail at section 214 sectiontwontwofouRTN at gmail.com. Right, email is pretty good way to reach us too. I mean, hey, it's what our like last year, we had fan mail, right? And
Yeah.
also, I guess one more thing about our last offseason episode, we got retweeted, by a prominent CFL, you know, what was it? It was an
On news
account
account,
that,
right?
yeah, it was a news account, right? That we tweeted our offseason video, and yeah, it ended up being like, getting, I think last time I checked, it was like 30 plus views. Right now, it's like, oh, I didn't think we'd get like that amount of views for an off-season video, but hey, let's hope we get the same amount, right? So, yeah, so, I guess like and subscribe, and also, comment to us your thoughts about everything that we talked about. But
We love hearing from the listeners. Keep letting us know. You never know, you might have your thing read on the show.
yeah, chances are you will have we will read your we will read what you have, right? So um yeah, so I guess yeah, that's gonna be it for us today. So yeah, uh I'll we'll see you after week one on Friday on so yeah, the Friday game, right? So it'll be Saturday. It'll be B&J at, I think, right?
We will think I will have to see with my school, but we'll figure out a time.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be it for us today. So yeah, we'll see you when the season starts. Let's hope for a good for 1-0.
Let's do it.
So all right, see ya.